Hello everyone, it's Marcia bringing you a new memory plan with me, and this is for the first December the 20th, so this is the week of Christmas itself. I'm using a really traditional red and pink kit from the Sweet Planner. It is a kit, it's a new kit to me, so I've not used hers before. It was a smaller kit than I'm used to having, so I have bulked it out a bit using this Paper Crown Planner Christmas Deco kit, which worked beautifully with it. I used one in my last Plan With Me, which was also a Christmas one, and they just complemented it so beautifully. So I'm just going to take you down with some music and speedily through the laying down of this kit, and I'll be back with you for the plans. Now with the majority of the base down, it's time to get into the plans. So the date covers that I've used up the top of are from Emma Hope Design. She's an Australian designer of stickers. She's on Etsy, I believe. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I got them through Etsy. But I actually contacted her because I'd got them from a craft fair from a couple of years ago, pre COVID. And I had used the ones up that I'd gotten. They were really nice. She does some beautiful colours. They're nicely balanced. You can get them in various foil colours. So I rang Emma and she was very willing and helpful, and she made an order that was available on Etsy, even though they'd appeared to have sold out, and that enabled me to get some more of those. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, Emma, and they look lovely as always. On the Christmas tree down the bottom of the page where the little girl's sitting, I've also used a couple of little foiled scallops that I did myself. They're generally a bit too deep to use on most things, but they actually worked very well to make a garland for that Christmas tree. So I was quite happy with that. The December and the top of the sidebar is my own. The snowflake is from Olive Planner Co, which I've mentioned is no longer around, and those little drops that with the little decorative baubles on them were also from Olive Planner Co. The swashes that you see through here, or the garlands, are also Olive Planner Co. The deeper ones underneath the date covers are from Sadies Stickers. And I think that's just about covered the things that I've used early. I've gone across the top on Monday to Friday, used some boxes from the kit and added my own script there to indicate work for the week. So heading back to Monday and the start of my plans, I've got a Sadie Stickers divider sitting in the middle or underneath the work script, and I've used a little bit of deco from the Sweet Planner deco sheet, which was a little candy cane, and just popped them together before I went underneath, and using one of the boxes which is quite heavily floraled, if that's a word. And I've put on there Coffee Monday and a cup. The only problem with using those floral boxes, although they're lovely, is that my Coffee Monday script really does get lost in them. So I can see why a couple of other planner people that I follow talk about how they prefer boxes that have got room to write and some white space in them. And I suppose that's a perfect example of why I probably should have put something else over the top of that to use it. But a lot of these boxes are quite heavily floral. There's a few designers that do that. And as I said, that's the first time I've really thought about how that can affect how it looks. You can see this Coffee Monday script now, but it really does get swallowed up, even though it's in the gold. So popping down underneath the full box, I've just put out on there that things were very clearly thinning out with regard to work. Emails that are normally the bulk of my day, of which I get many, um, were almost non-existent. They were quietening down the week before, and this week they're just literally dragging through. So again, this is a really good opportunity for me to go back and attend to some of the larger jobs that require a more sort of concentrated effort, and that was what I was doing this week or two leading up to Christmas. There were quite a few different people on leave. There was certainly a lot of our people that third party people that we do business with were very clearly on leave, so it was quieter in that respect. However, the bookings were solid. What doctors we did have in the clinic were all pretty flat chat, and so in terms of quietness, it was really in the form of some of the admin activities, but as I said, the bookings were still solid and those phones were still continuing to ring. I finished off Monday by marking a lash appointment at 3 o'clock and finished it off with an early night. It had just been a pretty solid day. Even though the emails had slowed, I decided to choose a project that was quite intense, and by the time I'd been working on that and looked up, it was well past time to finish for the day. So that's what can happen when you get into some of those projects, although I do enjoy having this particular time to be able to really get stuck into those. On the top of Tuesday, I've noted that I decided to work on an electronic planner. So this was a really hard decision because I've got some really gorgeous day-to-day planners that I carry in my purse, and it pretty well goes with me everywhere. But I did find last year that I would be off in a meeting or I'd be somewhere and I'd need to make a note for something, and then I'd have to write it on something, take it up, put it in my planner. It just wasn't necessarily working for me on a day-to-day basis. So I made the decision, even though I love having my other little planner to use up all my leftover stickers, I did make the decision to go to an electronic planner. And so far as we're into, when I'm doing this voiceover, it's actually the third week of January, so I'm trying to catch up. But so far I made the decision, I think 21st of December, and I started using it straight away, and it's called Opus One, and I'm really happy with it. It was not an expensive thing to do. It's not a decorative planner like I had originally thought I might do, but it's one that I'm carrying with me everywhere. It's a little bit more detailed than just using sort of your Google Calendar on your phone and those sorts of things. It has goals within it. It also divides your time up between social activities and family activities, and at the end of the month you can see an overview, and it's really, really fascinating. So one of my goals this year was to try and balance my work time, family time, and so on. Now normally that would be something that you could focus on without too many dramas, but because of COVID and isolations and all the strange things that are happening, it's not quite that simple. And I tend to have work being the greater majority of my week. So that's just something I want to try and do this year. As I said, so far I'm very happy with it, and I do miss not having my pretty planner in my handbag, but this one is actually just really been more functional for me, and I feel much better organised with it, and I really don't miss very much at all, which in fact I've not missed anything so far with regard to those plans. So I'm very, very happy with that. So underneath that box with Opus One, I've put a divider or a header that came from another sampler that I got in those Black Friday sales. They were just the best value. And in fact, I've enjoyed using so many of the things in those that I will be going back to get some more. But I used a decorative box and marked in there that I'm going to memory plan in the Harriet Wright designs. So I bought that earlier, quite sort of mid-year really, almost. Well, when they were released. And it's lovely, and I will go through that with you. So when I start my new year one, which is going to be the next video, I'll take you through the setup of my Harriet White. I'll also try and do some designs to show you how the Opus One works as well. And it's certainly not going to be for everyone, but it's working for me. And then the decorative thing. I've only sort of started playing with Harriet Wright designs just this last couple of weeks. I hope I don't regret going back to the Aura Estelle. Already having worked on it with a coil is a bit challenging, and I'd forgotten that that's part of the reason why I went away from that style of planner, even though I love them. I may well end up going back to an Aura Estelle next year, who knows, but I will commit to it for the year. That's just the way that I have to be, and I'm going to enjoy using it because it is a beautiful planner. But I'll show you all that in the next video, and that helps people make their own decisions going forward as to what works for them. That's the interesting thing about planning, is it's very, very individual, and you can service your own needs quite well. I finished Tuesday by marking off another early night. It had been a busy day. I'd got a lot done, so an early night served me well. Sadly, I had to start off Wednesday morning with marking that there were a lot of tears for Oscar. He was my son and his family's little dog, a little, he's a schnauzer. A beautiful little fellow, really lovely nature. Sadly, ran after a bird and was hit and killed, and it was a terrible time to happen at this time of the year. Heartbreaking. This was the first puppy for this family. my son's obviously had lots of dogs with us growing up, but his children had wanted a pup for ages, and it wasn't until they moved to a space where he felt he could, have a dog and give it plenty of room to run around. So little Oscar made his mark on many people in our family, and everybody was really sad to hear of his accident. So yeah, I don't often get to mark sad things in my planner, and I'm very grateful for that. But I really couldn't let it go without marking something to say goodbye to Oscar, and certainly a lot of tears. And for those of you that are animal lovers out there, like we are in our family, you'll know how heartbreaking it can be to lose a little fur member of your family. They're pretty special. So moving underneath there, I've used another one of those Sadies Stickers dividers and a candy cane from the deco in the kit, and one of the boxes from the kit, which was just a little tracker. I just put some floral over the hearts on the tracker so that it became a box, and just marked a point that there were no appointments in the clinic, that although many things had stopped, the patients certainly hadn't, and we still had a reasonably full complement of doctors, and they were pretty solidly booked on leading up to Christmas, and even this last 3 weeks into the new year we really haven't stopped. So the demand is still high, and that's probably got a lot to do with COVID at the moment. People are frightened and they're being cautious, which is fine. That's our job. We hope as in GP land that we can do our best to alleviate some of the burden in the hospitals, which in Melbourne at the moment have gone to code brown, which is certainly the first time in history that I'm aware of. And so things are pretty dire, and that's a situation that nobody wants to be seeing and hearing, because that's a worry for everyone, healthy and not healthy. So after marking that, I've added a quarter box, or rather it's a littles, down the bottom of the page on Wednesday to mark another early night. I was making a conscious effort to get some early nights because I knew that I was going to have a pretty busy few days coming up. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day are very busy days for us, having a fairly large family, and there's a lot to be done, and I wanted to make sure that I was not too tired, and so that's why I made an effort to get these early nights out of the way before the festivities of Christmas arrived. And I used a small piece of floral deco from the kit when I marked that little early night. That's a sweet little bouquet. It was nice to have the different sizes of bouquets that you could cut or use through the kit, and I did enjoy that little extra add-on. First half of the week finished, I decided to move across to Thursday and started off with a large piece of deco. There were so many lovely deco pieces in this kit that it would have been a shame not to try and utilise them. So that's how I started off Thursday, with some deco and quite a large piece of floral. They're not always easy to use, but in this case it was not difficult to develop a little sort of vignette there of the presents and of the piece of deco. And then underneath that box I've written "patient leaves scripts till the last minute." My poor receptionists were absolutely going bananas and just so frustrated by the fact that so many of our patients were ringing to try and get appointments. And given that we were so heavily booked, perhaps they just weren't anticipating that. I don't know. Although it does happen quite a bit that people leave renewing their scripts till the time that they've just taken the last pill. And they just don't seem to understand that the doctors are particularly busy. That's just the nature of their job, particularly, or even more so at the moment in this pandemic. And so there were just no appointments to be had. So of course they were getting cross because there were no appointments for them. The receptionists were frustrated because people were leaving things to the last minute. And it's been a really tough year for them too. The last couple of years they have absolutely worked their tushes off. It's just constant. From the moment they walk in the door, those phones start and the requests come, and they just don't stop. So I do feel for them. There is very little any of us can do. We just have to remain patient, and it is their nature to be compassionate. They're a great team of receptionists. but it is getting increasingly more difficult as people's expectations are so great, and we just simply don't have the capacity to be able to grant these desires at a moment's notice. Now I'm popping back over to my sidebar and just adding some script, a little pair of runners there from Christine's Paper Studio, who I also read is closing, which is a shame because she offers great product and good service. However, she's closing for the very best of reasons. I believe a bub is on the way, so that's pretty exciting for her, and that's wonderful for them as a family. I'm very excited for her, and I can understand that sometimes you have to, prioritise things and decide what you can manage. So my voiceover has got a little ahead of my filming, and I'm really just getting to the filming of the deco at this stage. I had a little bit of a play around. I was going to use the boot and then decided that wasn't going to work, and then moved on to the presents and gifts. As you can see now, down goes the floral and the gifts over the top. And then that was where I wrote underneath there with regard to patience and leaving scripts to the last minute. And in the sides there where the Live, Love and Craft is labelled on the inserts, not that I have a problem with that, on most occasions I don't, but because I had so many lovely florals, I thought I would take a leaf out of, I haven't done it to the same extent that this girl does it, but I rather like the idea. She puts some more decoration similar to above the date covers. She's been putting it in that section at the side in the rings planners, which you can do. Don't have that scope in the coiled ones, but you certainly do in the ringed ones. And JC, I think she's the Virgo plans. She does this, believe me, she does it a lot more. She's just, her whole middle section is decorated on a much grander scale than what I've done there. I've just utilised a couple of lovely bouquets from that paper crown planner sheet and the different decorations that I had. And and I quite like that touch. I think it's nice. Given that I'm going into a coil planner, I'm not going to be able to do that going forward, but I can see why in an insert from an A5 wide it would work well. So now I'm just popping down again another little piece of deco from the kit. On this occasion it's the mug with what appears to be, say, a hot chocolate, and I've popped that on with some floral and another one of those dividers from Sadies Stickers, and gone underneath there with a half box and just marked on there that we had a couple of staff moving on. Our phlebotomist, who's actually not our employee, but she was such a great lady and worked so well with our team that we felt like she was one of us, and one of our receptionists who has moved on to advance her career. So they've both had a really nice send-off. As always, our girls are very generous. They baked some wonderful treats. The food there was just so much of it. It ran from one end of the table to the other. The doctors were very generous, as they often are, with a farewell gift, and the staff also, which enabled us to get something really special that I know they'll be able to remember their time with us happily. Well, they would have thought that way. I would have liked to have thought anyway, but now they've got something to sort of commemorate that time, which is lovely. So that was a nice way to finish off the day. It was a late lunch on the Thursday. We did that because we were only doing a half day on the Friday, and to be honest, by the time everybody had got to that half day on Friday, they were definitely ready for a bit of a break. They were very much looking forward to getting a couple of days off to recharge the batteries, and very, very much well deserved that our team should have a good break. And then for me, that evening I came home, just I had a bit of a rest, I think, until we headed out that night. We were heading off for the opening of presents for all the grandchildren. So we don't always get for each of our family members to be together on Christmas Day, but the majority of them seem to be able to make it to the Christmas Eve. So they're always a fun night. There's nothing nicer than seeing a bunch of excited kids sitting around opening gifts, and I think that's a night that we all enjoy. It doesn't hurt that my daughter-in-law, actually all my daughter-in-laws are fantastic cooks, but this night we had an amazing feed. The meal was like something you'd get in a five-star restaurant. It was incredible. And then after we've had our meal, we do our gift opening. It was a beautiful night, not too hot, not too cold, just perfect. And we went sort of for a walk around the property because it was such a beautiful evening. The kids played some basketball and jumped on the tramps, and it's probably a tad too cool for a swim, but they had a wonderful evening, and all in all it was a great night. It was a late-ish night, and we headed home. Not having little kids at home in the house anymore, we don't have lots of things to set up. Most of the presents were wrapped and under the tree, and most of the jobs were done. And so we headed home and off to bed so that Santa could make his deliveries to everyone that night. Slept well, had a wonderful sleep after a couple of lovely drinks and some good food and some good company, and then had a little bit of a sleep in on Christmas morning. So as I mentioned, because we're a family of adults still in our house, we don't have to be up super early. We haven't got little kids hanging by the tree. And a few years ago we had a Christmas tradition where before we started getting Christmas dinner ready and all the things that go with it, we would shoot up to a Macca's that was open. Normally they always used to be closed on Christmas Day, but the ones on the highway are open for travellers. So we go there and have a Macca's brekkie, which is easy and we don't have to do very much. We just rock up, have it and go. Certainly not a fancy feed by any means, but it gets the job done, and it's just become a little tradition of ours. And then we come home and I start getting, well, not just me, but we all start getting stuck into the preparations for what's always been Christmas lunch for me, but it keeps getting later and later. And on this Christmas we did make it Christmas tea, but it just didn't seem to quite work as well as we'd hoped. There were some hold-ups. They were unintended, and they were, it's not like anybody was deliberately trying to be difficult. It's just the way things worked. One of my sons has got a pretty new baby, and you know, it's not easy to get 3 kids ready to get going. And another one, while they didn't have a new baby, they did have, their daughter was unwell, feeling unwell. She had a tummy upset, so they had to sort of hold off coming. I didn't think at one stage they were coming, and then she was feeling a bit better, so they ended up coming across. It was just a bit of a strange, you know, those times when you have those events that you think are going to go a certain way and that didn't quite happen. But having said that, it's still nice, even though it didn't quite meet expectations. It was still nice to have an evening together and an opportunity for a couple of the families that couldn't make it to open some gifts together as well. Plus, before everybody arrives, we have a small little gift giving for the 4 of us that are in the house, which is also nice, and we all enjoy that. And yeah, we had a ton of food, way too much food. It's like I'm still catering for dozens and dozens of people, and I wasn't doing that on this occasion, but I didn't make any adjustments. So we had food coming out our ears, and I don't know if people were just tired. I heard a lot of people commenting on how tired they were, but we didn't eat anywhere near the amount of food that we've done in years gone by. I don't know if that's a sign of the times or just people feeling the way they are after a couple of years of a pandemic. So either way, maybe things need to be looked at and adjusted going forward. But we did our traditional morning, had our Macca's run, came home, did a shipload of cooking, sat down and ate as much as we could. And we all love the seafood, and even the seafood pulled us up short this year. We didn't get it all eaten, which is rather unusual. So it was all in all a pleasant but slightly different Christmas Day to what we've had in the past. And just mark that with a couple of decorative stickers, all of these from the kit, and a snowflake from Olive Planner. So again, I'm sorry that I'm using stickers from shops that are closed, but the reality is that I've bought them and I have to use them. I just don't think it's a good indication of value if you stop using the kits because the shop's no longer open. There are lots of alternatives around. Each one have their own flavour, but there are things that you can still get to make your planners look beautiful. So I will continue to use them, and I'm sorry that the shops are no longer available, but I'll try and mix it up a bit so that they're not all the stickers are from shops that are gone. So that was Saturday, which was a big couple of days, and then we move on to Boxing Day. Again, I'm going back to Paper Trail Plans and that fantastic sampler with her back Friday, which I've really enjoyed using. And I just noticed that I used a half box. Again, one of these ones with a heavy floral design on them. So it's not always easy to see the printing on it, but nevertheless, just put on there that we really had a huge sleep in this morning. The festivities of the last 2 days had really caught up with us, and we knew that we had another busy afternoon in store, so the four of us had a massive sleep in, and probably the biggest we've had all year. Certainly for me it was, and it was thoroughly enjoyable. So that was using a half box from the kit and another one of those dividers, or sort of lacy style dividers that I've put on its side, going down the side of that, just to bring in some gold foil. Then popping down underneath the full box, which is basically the same as the one, the deco piece used in the sidebar, I used another one of the dividers from the Sadies Sticker sheet, another piece of floral from the floral deco sheet that came with the kit, and just used that as a bit of a divider. Coming down under the full box on Sunday, I've used one of those Sadies Stickers flourishes. These lovely little heart swirls are very sweet, and the hearts sort of appear to either end and in the middle, so there's a bit of variety as to where you would like them to sit. And I think my favourite is this one, where the heart is to one side and you get the opportunity to use the floral underneath the longer swirl. They're very versatile, these little ones, and I really enjoy them. Definitely a reorder for those. And then underneath that, I marked that we went to my niece's for our traditional. So this is my brother and that side of the family, and this is where we have Boxing Day. We usually share it around. It was my turn this year, but it just didn't work out that way with people's different time plans, and we headed off to Rachel's. It was an interesting one. My brother was very unwell, and he spent the day. He wasn't able to really join us, and he looked awful. You could tell he felt really lousy, and he felt particularly bad that he wasn't able to join in, because it's usually a really lovely day. So it was a funny one. Again, my granddaughter, who'd been unwell the day before, was feeling that way again, so she didn't join us. It was pleasant, but it was just not the usual day that we're used to, which seems to have been the case for Christmas and Boxing Day this year. But that's okay. You know, we're pretty blessed. We've had some amazing fun times and some wonderful occasions. So I think if you can only sort of say that it wasn't quite what you used to, you're still doing pretty well. And then the last thing down there was that this was an unusually early night. We normally go later into the evening, but because of the circumstances, people left early, and we all came home to an early night as well. And so that was the Christmas week. It was full right to the end, and enjoyable and pleasant. I know I certainly was spoilt with some beautiful gifts as well, which is a bit of a bonus. I also have a December birthday, so the end of the year is a bit of a win-win for me. So I'm just popping the spread back into my Aura Estelle. This is going to be the last one for 2021. It's been an absolute pleasure using this Aura Estelle A5 wide, and equally the Live, Love and Craft inserts. As I said, I've enjoyed it so much, really was looking to change it up, which I've done with the Harriet Wright, as you'll see going forward, but I'm very sure that I will be heading back into this planner and this particular format for 2023. Just going back and popping a few swags and a few little gold bits and pieces across the spread to bling it up even more. But I do think this was even more of a traditional spread than the one I'd used the week before. I do love Christmas spreads. They're some of my favourites. It's my favourite time of the year, and it's nice to reflect it in my stickers as well. Unfortunately, I forgot to fill in my steps and my vitamins full bar and my meals. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you soon.